A trip down memory lane. 1950's and 1960's. Do you remember? Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to my channel. I have my friend here with me today. This is Dave, my beloved.
Hello.
Hi. Today we want to talk about the 1950's and the 1960's and what it was like growing up in those years. Now, the reason we picked the 50's and the 60's is because I am older than Dave.
What? You never told me that.
That's my secret.
Oh my goodness, if I'd only known.
So I was born in 1951 and Dave was born in 1958. So during those years, like up to age 7, 8, 9, that's what we're talking about. Well, for me, it was the 50's, and for him, it would be the 60's.
But everybody thinks I'm older than her.
Yes, and let's keep it that way.
Yes.
I'll continue to age you as much as I can.
You got it.
So I want to talk about one of my favorite memories as a little girl growing up, and that was my dolls. I loved my dolls.
Oh boy.
Of course, I didn't just play with them in the 50's. I continued in the 60's and, well, till I was about 15, 16 years old. But back then, there was Tiny Tears, which I absolutely loved Tiny Tears, and Chatty Cathy.
I love that name.
Yeah.
Chatty Cathy.
You pulled the string on the back, and she had, I think, 12 things she would say to you. One of them was, "I love you." It was so cute.
Oh gosh.
And the Shirley Temple doll.
Oh wow.
And of course, there was Betsy Wetsy.
Oh jeez.
Does anybody remember Betsy Wetsy? I sure loved her.
Oh gosh.
So those were some of my favorite, I guess you'd call, toys, my dolls. How about you, Dave? Do you have some?
Well, I didn't have a Betsy Wetsy, I know that.
I hope not.
Yeah, I do too. Oh wow. G.I. Joe was my number one. For little boys, that was it. I mean, I could play 24 hours a day with my G.I. Joes. I loved every one of them. I loved that they just weren't dolls, but they moved and you could articulate them. And they had accessories and, oh my gosh. I loved them.
Okay, what
and
else?
then, of course, Hot Wheels. Guys,
Yeah.
you remember Hot Wheels? Those were awesome. We used to collect them, trade them with each other. Loved it.
Did Hot Wheels come out before Matchbox or vice versa?
I think they were kind of similar.
Did you like Matchbox cars?
I liked Matchbox cars, but Hot Wheels were the thing. For
Okay.
me, anyway. They were a lot
Alright.
more for me, yeah, were those.
Okay.
And, gosh, cap guns?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I had cap guns, too.
I know.
It was so much fun to just take your caps outside, hit them with a rock.
Yes, they was.
Oh, I loved that.
Yes, and of course BB guns, boys, we had those.
Yeah.
And then the sports things, the football and baseball and, those kind of things were wonderful.
Yeah.
But then I think my number one toy, well, Lincoln Logs too. You guys remember Lincoln Logs?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
those
do.
were great. Love Lincoln Logs. Spent hours with those.
Yes.
And then bicycles, just having a bike.
Mm-hmm.
No helmet.
No helmets back then.
And we're here.
We made it.
Yes, we did.
And a few more I remember was marbles.
Yeah,
Did you
see,
ever?
I never was into marbles.
I was so into marbles. I love marbles, and I love the big boulders. And you had a string. You made a circle, and you played a game with the marbles, and hula hoop.
I can see you.
Well,
you did a hula hoop when we had our grandchildren.
I know. I was in my 50's,
Yeah.
and early 60's,
Yeah.
still doing hula hoop and pogo stick.
Yes, you did do the pogo stick.
I taught all 5 of our grandchildren how to use the pogo stick.
They were like fascinated by that.
I could go for the longest time.
You would sit there and count how many times you could do it.
Yes, and one of my absolute favorites was playing jacks.
Yeah, I didn't get into jacks either.
I did, and guess what?
What?
I have my little bag here.
Oh
and
my
guess
gosh.
what's in it?
Look at this.
I have jacks. And here's the ball. Oh my gosh, I still love playing jacks.
Yeah, you do.
I just love these.
And you're good at it.
Did you all play jacks?
Now, one thing that I can think of, I know you loved to do, was skate.
Yes, I loved to roller skate.
Yeah.
I had my little key that hung around, you had a rope around your neck and your key hung from the rope. That was always fun to go roller skating. And just so many fun things that the kids today miss out on all those things.
I think to a certain extent. I think the whole thing with the computer toys and the phones and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really do a lot of the things that we did when we were growing up.
No, back then you went out to play in the morning and you didn't come back till the street lights came on.
Yes, and you used your imagination.
Yes.
That's the biggie too. Is using your imagination. I mean, you could be you could get a bunch of boxes and be an astronaut and make like little spaceships going to the moon. There were all kinds of things you could do with your imagination.
We used to go to the creek and skip rocks.
Oh,
I could skip rocks for hours. I absolutely loved doing that. And go outside and play kick the can. You probably didn't do that.
No.
Okay. See, now I'm showing my age. But you just had a can, and you played kick the can, and you kicked it down the street, and all the kids came out.
Well, it's interesting because you're talking about being outside all day until all night, and we did not have cell phones.
No, we didn't.
So we couldn't call our parents and say, hey, we'll be back at such and such time, or them call us and say, where are you? There was just this thing there was more like, I don't know what you would call it, like other parents in the neighborhood seemed to take care of their children and your children.
Absolutely.
And everybody knew what everybody else was doing.
Everybody watched out for everyone else's children.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was really neat.
And another thing that was such a big deal for me and my friends in the 50s was penny candy.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, to be able to go to the store and get penny candy. And you had those little brown bags and you could fill the bag up. If you had 3 cents, you got 3 pieces of candy or whatever. But some of my favorite candies were the candy cigarettes. Loved those. They were so good. Of course, you pretended, they were white with a little orange or red painted on the end, and you would pretend like you were smoking because most of the parents smoked back then, and grandparents and everybody.
Sure did.
But they were delicious to eat.
Yes, they were.
And candy lipstick. Oh, my gosh, is that good. Does anybody remember what candy lipstick tasted like? And then one other thing I'll mention. Did you know the very first penny candy that ever came out, individually wrapped penny candy, was none other than the Tootsie Roll? My favorite. I still eat them today. I talk about them on my channel.
You do?
They came out in the year 1896.
Wow.
Long time ago.
That is hard to believe.
Yeah, that's a true statement.
Goodness.
Do you remember penny candy, or was it a real big deal for you?
Well, it was. I mean, I do remember, we used to go to this campground when I was little and had a camp store. And boy, we get there, the first thing us kids would do would go straight to the store to buy our candy. And, we would get things like Neckos.
Yes.
Love Neckos, Sweet Tarts, the wax bottle, little candies that you bite off the tip and they had like soda in them.
Were they about this tall?
Yeah.
And it was a real sweet liquid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Sweet Tarts and Bit of Honey. Bit of Honey, oh my gosh, to this day. And look at me, I'm talking about all this candy and I'm a diabetic now. It's like, I can just remember.
Did you ever eat Mary Jane?
Yes, Mary Jane's.
Okay. And remember those pieces of paper? They were about that wide, long, and they had those little dots.
Yeah. I think they were called dots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were fun. What else? Do you think of any other that you liked?
I think that's pretty much it as far as the main ones that I enjoyed.
Okay.
But the great thing is, if you go to Cracker Barrel, a lot of these candies are still available today.
Yes, but not candy cigarettes and not candy lipsticks.
No, this is true.
I have checked.
Has anybody else checked for those? Like maybe, I don't know, Amazon?
I've never looked on Amazon.
Yeah.
Who knows? If they have them, this girl's going to place an order.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, and one side note real quick, too.
Yeah.
Since I am now a diabetic, I have recently discovered, guys, that Hershey's actually had, and this is new for me because I've never seen them before in the stores, but Hershey's actually has sugar-free candy now. They've got chocolate bars, Reese's peanut butter cups, and peppermint patties are actually now sugar-free.
Ooh.
They're not always easy to find, but they're out there. Walmart carries them, and some of the supermarkets carry them. You just have to find them, but they're there.
Are they also low in carbs? Because you have to watch your carbs.
They're low in carbs.
Okay.
But man, I'm telling you what, at least for me, for someone now who can't eat regular candy, oh my gosh, it's just like heaven. Heaven. I love it.
Wasn't life just grand back then?
It sure was.
In comparison to now. The freedom we had.
Yeah.
The safety that we had. We had so many people looking out for us.
Yes, we did.
All up and down your street. All the parents. They just watched out for everybody.
And if you did something wrong,
oh yes,
your parents let it be known to the other parents.
Yes,
they could punish you.
And you could ride your bikes in the streets, and
I know
you didn't have to worry about cars zooming down the road.
Yes.
And it just was just a great time. I have so many fond memories of being a little girl and growing up in the 50s.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a great time.
I know. Well, those are bygone days, unfortunately.
Yes, they are.
But I am very thankful that that's when I grew up. I would not want to be a kid in today's world. There's just no way.
No.
So.
No, absolutely not.
Well, do you have anything else to add? I mean, I know we could talk about...
Oh my gosh, forever.
I mean, so many things. The drive-in movies, the ice cream truck that used to come down the street, and all the kids would run out and beg their parents for a few coins to get one. And it just goes on and on. But we just wanted to bring up a few things just to travel back in time and remember the joy and the fun it was to be a kid in the 1950s and 1960s.
Yes.
Well, that's all we have for you today, but of course we're going to leave an inside beauty tip.
And drop us a little comment down below. Let us know about the things that you remember when you were little.
Yes.
Because it'd be kind of fun to hear other things to bring back our memories that we may have forgotten in this video.
Absolutely. And especially, what was your favorite penny candy?
Yes.
I mean, you know how much I love candy. So that's my biggest interest. What was your favorite penny candy?
Yes.
Let me know. For the Inside Beauty tip today, It's going to be given by Dave since he's my guest.
Thank you.
So, what do you have for us?
Well, I'm not going to do a specific passage out of the book of Job,
Okay.
but just an overall commentary. And the book of Job, to me, in Scripture, is just one of my favorite books to read. And I think because it really helps me to understand the power of God and to realize that, we only grow in the valleys. We truly do.
That's so true.
Yeah. And, I'll just give you an overall, but I want all of you to go read it if you haven't read it. I'm sure a lot of you have. But it's fascinating to me because it talks about Job, who was a man who had everything. I mean, he had power, he had land, money, family, and everything else. And in the beginning of the book, it talks about Satan going to God and basically saying, well, Job loves you, or Job this, that, and the other, because you've blessed him so much. But the book never really explains to us or tells us why Job went through the trials that he did. It doesn't tell us necessarily. So there's at least a lot of interpretation there. But the part that fascinates me is when he was questioning God, when he was losing things in his life, his children, his crops, his wealth, and he was questioning God about all these things, which all of us would do. And he just kept going on and on and on, and God patiently listened, just listened to what he shared, and then finally God just had enough. And basically God was like, who do you think you are? And God starts to tell him about the things of God, about who laid the foundation of the earth, and, why does the wind blow, and, all these incredible things. And man, it really, truly, I love it. I love the book of Job. It truly is an incredible thing in Scripture to read and to grow by and learn. But it has definitely taught me that lesson that, and I believe with all my heart, that it is only in the deepest valleys do we grow the most in life. It truly is.
Yeah, in your darkest times.
Yes.
You will learn your brightest lessons.
Yeah, and your faith will grow. Oh my goodness, it will grow. Unbelievable. So that really is it. But please, guys, if you get an opportunity, read the book of Job. If you haven't already, or if you've read it already, read it again, because it's truly an incredible book in the Bible.
Yes, and very inspiring.
Very inspiring.
Yes. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Well, we thank you all for being here today. And until we meet again, this is the old girl.
And this is the old guy.
Signing out. See ya.
Bye, everyone.